my name is Brianna Horsley, and I'm here with Mr. Weddington, and he's going to give us some information about going back into in-person learning. When do Lewis County students have an option to return to in-person learning?
So what we're looking at is returning to in-person learning beginning on Monday, October the 12th. We are going to bring in kindergarten, 7th, and 9th graders on Monday. We're going to bring in kindergarten, 1st grade, 7th grade, and 10th grade on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to have kindergarten through 6th in. On Thursday, kindergarten through 6th, 8th, and 11th graders. And on Friday, October 16th, kindergarten through 6th, 8th, and 12th graders will be coming. On Monday, October 19th, we will have kindergarten through 12th graders all return to in-person instruction. Preschool will begin in-person instruction on Monday, October 26th. So we felt as though we could stagger the students coming back. We wanted to give students that were returning or coming to a new building the opportunity to come back and familiarize themselves with the building that they're going to that's new to them first, and then gradually return back the entire student body over the first week. We realize this may cause some issues for a few families as far as having maybe a 10th grader who would be potentially taking care of a younger sibling who was in 2nd or 3rd grade. So it's not required to return in person that first week when we're trying to let everybody come back and get a feel for how it's going to work. But the following week, the 19th, if you're going to do in-person learning, we would want you to come back starting that week. We felt as though this would be a good opportunity to work out any additional bugs that we might have with procedures or protocols or that type of thing. So that's why we're bringing them back on a staggered basis.
So which students will be required to wear a mask?
So right now the current guidelines, and this is always subject to change as it has changed several times over the course of this health situation. Right now, students 1st grade through 12th will be required to wear a mask while they're in the building. Preschool through 12th grade, when riding a bus, will be required to wear a mask. So if you're going to get on a bus, you're going to have to wear a mask for the duration of your trip, regardless of your grade. But when you get to school, it will be 1st grade through 12th grade. That's the current guidance that we're going to follow. We will be taking mask breaks. Of course, there's going to be students that are going to be medically exempt and have special needs that will not be able to wear a mask, and we'll work through those and recognize those. But the current mask guidelines are what we're going to go by as it relates to in-person instruction.
What will the bus schedule look like?
So the buses are going to look, the routes and things will be similar, if not exactly the same as what you've seen before. But what you will experience is the start time or the pickup time or the delivery time may be different in years past because we're expecting fewer students to ride and participate on the buses. So we'll expect some issues, at least initially, with pickup time and delivery times, and we'll make modifications to those to ensure that we're being accommodating and trying to get the students there at the appropriate time. It's actually going to benefit the students that were on the bus routes the longest and allow them to have a shorter bus ride because we won't be picking up as many students along the way.
Will there be another survey to determine which students will be coming back to in-person learning?
So Monday we're going to put out another survey just to make sure that everyone is still where they were at. A few people have expressed that they would like to continue with the virtual learning, and they had initially said in-person, and a few people have said they want to do in-person versus virtual. So for us to plan to come back on the 12th, we need to know what our numbers are going to look like so we can space the desks appropriately, so we can plan for bus routes and pickup times and those things. So beginning Monday, we'll start doing another survey. The elementary school teachers are going to be calling and trying to get the information to begin with, and then we will open it up and potentially have middle school and high school teachers fill in the holes. It'll also become open to the public after the first day, but we want to try to get as accurate information as we can, especially at the elementary level, because we feel like that's where we'll need to make the most accommodations as far as spacing and those type things for the younger kids that'll be coming back to school.
So if a student chooses to continue with the virtual learning, when will they have the opportunity to come back here?
So we're going to follow the same guidelines. We're going to follow the survey. If you choose in-person learning, then you will come back on, you can potentially participate the week of the 12th. You'll be expected to come back the week of the 19th if you're doing in-person. If you're choosing virtual, then you stay on virtual until the end of the 9 weeks, which is that week of the election week, November the 6th, I think is a Friday. You'll be committing, if you choose virtual, you'll be committing to stay on virtual until that time. We will do another survey to see if there's any virtual students at that time that want to come back, and we will allow those students to come back to in-person at the end of the 9 weeks. If you choose virtual at this point, then you're committing to stay virtual until at least that November the 6th date, and then you'll have the option to come back to in-person and do the second 9 weeks as an in-person learning. If you're on in-person and something happens and you don't feel comfortable in sending your kids to school, then you can always go back to the virtual platform. You'll just be committing to stay until the end of that particular 9 weeks.
If a student or staff member tests positive for COVID, what will the procedures be?
So the procedures for that will be, first, if it's a student, the parent will need to notify the school, the principal, of a positive test so that we can notify the health department. So once we find out that we have a positive staff member or a positive student, then we'll notify the Lewis County Health Department. They will look at our seating charts as far as seating charts for the bus, seating charts for the classrooms, all those data pieces, and they'll make a determination of who is going to be quarantined or who is a potential high risk or potential low risk exposure to COVID. We will put out a one call that says that we had a positive case at that particular school. If your child is in that classroom, if you are a high risk candidate, then you'll be notified by the health department. If you're a low risk candidate in that classroom, then the school will make an attempt to contact you and notify you that you'd had a low risk exposure to COVID. So that's going to be the protocol. We're going to notify the people that are high risk first, and then lower risk will also get notified within that classroom.
If there's an outbreak in the community, will the students that are coming in person be affected?
So, unfortunately, we've already seen what an outbreak in the community looks like. We've had it in our nursing home, and the numbers were really high for a long time. And unfortunately, we had some community members who passed away as a result of COVID. So there is a potential for community outbreak to shut down in-person learning. So the Department of Education and the Department of Public Health have put out a document, a color code document, red being the color that will cause us to close down and cancel in-person learning, with yellow, orange, and green being the other categories that we can potentially have in-person learning. So we'll follow that guideline. Currently, the last time I checked, we were yellow, so that means our incident rate is very low right now in the community. So we feel like it's a good time for us to try to go back and have some in-person learning take place. I know there's a lot of people that are eager to get back to it, and I also know there's a lot of apprehension, but we're going to give the option for students to come back.
If we have a school-wide closing, will in-person students go back to the virtual program?
So the current plan is for the in-person students to continue working somewhat in the in-person program, the PLP program, while they're back in person. So we won't completely abandon that program. We'll continue to use it to a limited degree. So the students will be able to still go in and use it, so they won't lose touch with what's going on there. We're going to align the curriculum to where both the in-person and the virtual can be doing the same team simultaneously, so that if we do have intermittent closings related to COVID, then we'll be able to seamlessly go back and forth, hopefully, between the two. That's the current plan.
Will students need to bring their own electronic devices to school with them?
So they will need, for that reason, since we're going to use the PLP program, they'll need to bring their Chromebook or their device that they're using at home, or the school rented program or rented Chromebook to use during the class with them. So they'll have to transport that, and they'll need to make sure they bring their charger with them to school. It will be easier if they charge it the night before, but they do need to bring the charger with them to school.
So the documents that are being referenced by Mr. Weddington will be at the end of this video and on the district webpage. And again, I'm Brianna Horsley reminding you to always wear a mask, wash your hands, and don't touch your face.